Okay, I think we are live.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. We are live from our page Reminiscence in another episode of Career Counseling. Today, we have with us Swati Dubey. Uh, Ma'am did her graduation and her post graduation from Presidency University in history. Then she went on to do an MBA in marketing from Kirloskar Institute of Advanced Management Studies, and she currently works as a senior corporation executive of sales at Naukri.com. Welcome, ma'am, to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for entertaining me.
Yes, the people who are viewers on this show of ours, you can always leave your questions in the comment box that are down there, and we'll surely find time to answer those questions. So, coming to the questions that we have with us today, what the choice of switching the lines that you made is not a choice everyone would take. So, what
Mhm.
prompted you to make this switch essentially?
Okay. So this was in my second year of post graduation in history itself. I realized that academia is not something I want to pursue in the future, and everything was fun. I loved reading, and it was a great experience. However, I did not want to spend my life in academia, and I was also wondering what am I supposed to do next. So this was a parental suggestion as well, and my colleagues suggested that why don't you try corporate? My father is working in corporate, so he had an experience of that, and he suggested why don't you do an MBA? You can enter the corporate itself. So that idea stuck, and the more I read about it, I liked it that I can do this, and let's try that. Yeah.
So it was more of like it was more of because he did not want to have particularly a career in academia, which is something I believe a lot of us dilemma that we face, that what to do after this,
Yes.
after
Yes.
getting a graduation degree. So
Yes.
while you were reading up about this particular field, it was, I am guessing it was from your perspective an entirely new field, because for
Mm-hmm.
5 years you have been you had been studying history. So how
Right.
did you navigate that learning about this particularly new field? What was the steps that you took or things that you were reading up on?
Okay. So first of all, because my dad had not done an MBA, he gave me a bit of an advice on how to go about it. And he was the first one who told me that, that even I was under this misassumption that, you need a commerce degree or an engineering degree to do an MBA. That was not the case at all. Any graduation person, any graduate can do MBA. I was not aware of it. So he told me about it. And then more I read, more I got into it. So he has done an MBA and he knew what struggles person face. So he told me the first handly what are the changes going to happen. And then I did my own research. I also had a classmate who had done the same thing in graduation. After doing history, he did an MBA. So I took a bit of his consultation. I also joined the training institute for the same. I was, because we had to prepare for many examinations for MBA, right? CAT, MAT, and many more. So I took an admission in that, and I started, researching on that, and you know, basically preparing for entrance exams which are going to come up. That was the main thing.
So when you were preparing for these entrance examinations, was like, did you finish your post graduation before that, or while you were finishing your post graduation you were prepping?
I started my, I think, preparation in the second year itself, but then I got an offer itself immediately after my post graduation. But I wanted to try for better institutes, so I took a year off for myself and just solely, prepared there as well. I also wanted to try some other examinations which were coming up. As you know, parents suggest you that, why don't you try this? So many vacancies are coming up. Try this as well. So I took a year off for that. 2018 was the year, and then I decided to prepare for it. So the entire year was dedicated doing that.
So do you feel that that students should take a drop year before deciding on this, on which institutes to go to, particularly when they're switching, let's say, these fields? I mean, is it ideally advisable, because we both need the time, and our we have our own paces of deciding what to do, right, and reading up on it. So do you strongly advise that they take this year to themselves, or?
Not necessarily, to be honest. It was my decision, and in some retrospect, it was a good decision because I got a year to myself to prepare and gain knowledge about everything. But again, it's up to you. If you think you can handle your graduation, as well as the research work and the training, it will be a bit of head work for you. You will be involved a lot of things and different things, because you will have assignments to be done, and then you will also have Saturday Sundays, going to coaching and preparing for that. If you think you need time, you should take 1 year off, because it gets a bit comfortable after that.
Okay, so when you had started your coaching classes,
Hmm.
what does an ideal, like what does a typical routine of a person attending these coaching classes look like? Like,
Okay, okay. So mine was a bit interesting because I started with Saturday, Sunday coachings, and the entire like 5 days used to go for the classes itself, college, and the assignments, and the rest 2 days were dedicated to 2 hours at least. Saturday, Sunday, my were dedicated to going to the coaching. So here you will be preparing. See, there are main three things which any MBA entrance exam will ask you. There is English, there is quants, and there is logic reasoning. These are major three things you have to focus on. And if you have done your work, if you're doing it, then it's fine. So I noticed that English was not an issue for me at all. I was managing fine there. The area which I needed my attention were the quant and logical reasoning. Logical reasoning was, itself is not very hard. You have to just get into the practice of it. Quants, because it was not my strong suit, so I had to put more effort into it. So yes, these three things will be dedicated. And because it was Saturday, Sunday, so the rest of the week I used to prepare on my own, doing the classes, and then Saturday, Sunday I used to go to the classes and attend what the teachers had to say, basically the lectures. Yeah.
so when you made the switch to
Mm-hmm.
MBA and you were getting into universities and different institutes,
Mm.
so does having a background in arts is it, like did it affect the preference of your selection, or did you think that it affected the preference of the selection in any manner?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, first of all, the first thing they'll ask you is that you have come from history, then why MBA? They'll ask, this is a very standard question they'll ask you, but it's not a big deal. If you're performing in the classes, even in the interviews, they'll ask you. Obviously, they're wondering why you made the switch, because it's very rare. So you give them a reasoning, you give their own mind. I used to tell them that it's my decision, and I decided to switch to corporate after a while. So it's not at all a disadvantage. You will be treated uniquely. You will be considered bit, yeah, okay, this person's a bit unique from a different field altogether. But it's not at all a disadvantage in my field.
Also, like when you're entering the professional field in that
Hmm.
particular area, then also it's not a factor which contributes to the preference or affecting.
Uh, I'll tell you honestly, see, in MBA, I'm not sure how many of us are aware. I wasn't aware though. But when you're doing MBA, there are a lot of streams in it, right? There is marketing, there is finance, there is business analyst, there's operations, and there is HR. So these are the major fields. So for me, as a person, marketing person, it wasn't a big deal because I was not dealing with numbers per se. I was dealing with ideas, creative part of it. If you're going into finance, and coming from history background, it might be a bit tough for you because you have to deal with numbers all the time. And if you're not used to it, becomes difficult. Same with business analyst, you're dealing with numbers there. So it's a personal experience, but again, in a professional sense, not at all a disadvantage. I haven't faced any disadvantage till now.
So, was your decision to go into marketing also based on these understandings that if you went into finance, you will have to deal with certain areas with which you were slightly out of touch because of what you were studying?
Of course, this is a factor you have to consider because if you're taking finance and you have not been around finance at all in your life, it's going to eat up your head because it's not an easy subject. And marketing was my passion. I wanted to go into marketing, therefore I chose that. All my colleagues and my parents also suggested that why don't you try HR? It's the most easy one, and you have to just sit at home. You will have a 9 to 5 job, come back, it'll be a bit easier. You being as a woman or whatever it is. But for me, marketing was I discovered it and I loved it. I loved marketing. We had a brilliant professor who taught us, so I loved her. And I just loved what she was teaching. So I wanted to go into that field. And I was aware that sales is something I have to do if I want to, grow in marketing. But this was my personal decision rather than just driven by finance or business analyst because you have people entering into both the fields and then they're discovering again what do they want to, because in the end you get a PGDM degree, and then if you want to switch over to something else you can, but it really depends on your interest. interest as well, because you're the one who's going to spend so much time dealing with it. So you better enjoy it. Yes, Shita.
Right. Yes. So we talked about that there aren't like quite a lot of disadvantages that are there, but uh, in terms of doing classes or in terms of attending the lessons or the lectures, do you think that
Hmm.
there is a slight disadvantage that you are facing, or even for that matter, any advantages that you are facing in terms of your
See,
development?
uh, hmm yes, I I was coming to that part because we have discussed bit of disadvantage. So let's discuss also advantages. See, I'll give you both the perspective here. First of all, if you come to disadvantage, there are some, because if you're because in MBA you're competing with commerce students, you're competing with engineers, because a lot of engineers do MBA, right? So they're good with numbers. If you're comfortable with numbers to begin with, even coming from humanities background, it won't be too tough for you, because you will be in the first year itself. You're going to deal with all the subjects. They make you study all of it. You have data analysis, so you're going to learn coding, right? So if you haven't done that, it's a bit of a struggle, because I struggle there. So I can just tell you my example. We learned the language R. So it's a very famous, common today's language we learn. So we learned that it's a compulsory subject. You also learn Excel. If you don't know that, you have to get into it. And then you have a common quant subject, quantitative analysis. We are taught all the techniques, which you're going to use later on. So if you're comfortable with numbers, well and good. If not, then you have to put extra effort, because I used to struggle where my engineering student didn't used to. But again, the engineering students used to struggle in finance because they had no idea. You have to make cost sheets and everything. You have to cross calculate. So struggle is with there. MBA is as a field is not very easy in the first year, because they're going to make you work, and they're going to make you work like anything. You have to remember that if you're doing an MBA, it's not going to be a cakewalk first year, and they make you do it because second year will be easy. Just float by. You have to focus on your placements. That's it. Prepare for the next interview to be sitting in. Not an issue. First year is difficult. But again, let's talk about the advantages here, right? Coming from humanities, reading was not an issue. So we see, main thing in MBA is to make presentations, because if if you're getting 100, so 40% is internal assignment, 60% is external. So internal, you have 20 or 25 marks will be devoted to just presentations. So you have to speak up. If you're good in English, not an issue at all. You have to read and present, because in the end, you're going to do a lot of presentations. Your lot of time will be spent in presentations and preparing for them. So it's not at all a disadvantage. I noticed that as a humanities student, I did not dislike reading. I loved presenting. It was a very easy thing for me. And coming from humanities, one more thing also I noticed, you become a bit unique. So you will come into notice among your professors. And marketing and subjects like that, they really don't create too much of a hassle. You have to just read up, present the ideas, and then second, because I took marketing, right? So we had a lot of brand building, a lot of these things, creative things to be done. Where my humanities knowledge actually helped me. That okay, we can do this as well. Why not? Let's try that. Your minds open up. And if you've noticed, I don't know, it's maybe it's the culture of presidency or something else, but it really helped me in gaining a lot of knowledge. When I came to Pressy, even I didn't have much knowledge about anything. But then I noticed people around me. They loved reading, they loved discussions and addabaji, which we used to do. So it made me read, and that really helped. And it helped where in the group discussions and the final interview which I gave for the placements. Because when the companies are coming, you're competing with a lot of people. So you're going to give aptitude test, which again you have to clarify. Then you have GDs and PIs. And my knowledge really helped me there, because I had studied a lot beforehand, where I used to see commerce students and they were not interested. But as humanities students, we used to read about everything, right? You're going to read subaltern history, you're going to read everything else. So I had a lot of knowledge in that, and that helped me standing out. I believe that there is advantage. Just don't think that it's all disadvantage. It's a mixture of both. You have to give each other's their due. That's the thing.
Okay. So when you're talking about GDs or when you're talking about presentations or even
Hmm.
personal interviews, do you think that there are, if you think of going into this particular line, that do you think there are certain skills that we should consciously or deliberately develop or work upon so that we can prosper in this particular field?
Definitely, definitely. I'm so glad you asked me, because I was thinking about this, and communication skills. The maximum and the most important thing you can do when you're doing an MBA is just focus on your communication skills. English, it's better because you have to speak up, you have to communicate whatever you are saying. That is what you need to do in your presentations, and that is why they made us do the presentations. Because a student who has never spoken English, I mean, I had my classmates who had come from all over India. There was no compulsion of speaking English at all. So they used to wonder, "Kya English bhi bolna padega?" I mean, things like that. So, but in corporate, that's the official language. So they made us do presentations just so that we'll speak English. So speaking English and gaining knowledge is and reading about your subjects. If you're taking marketing, be it anything else, if you're taking HR, just read about it, gain maximum knowledge, and then you'll be fine. Because these are the major two things are looking. Then because as freshers, they know that we don't have an experience. They know this, right? But they're looking that you're learning, that they're looking that you can speak because you're gonna write lots of letters, emails. I mean, that's what you do in corporate. You communicate all the time. So you better know your English well. You better speak up and better, just transmit your ideas to others in a most effective manner. That's the most important thing in MBA, and that is what will teach you. That's what it is.
So the presentation sessions, I mean, are the faculties very intensive or expansive in the questions they ask or how they evaluate your presentations?
Okay,
Because that is a thing not a lot of us face in the humanities field particularly.
right, right. So I'll tell you one thing. It was the one of the most interesting thing happened with me. So the first day, orientation. We had a one long week of orientation. We used to sit through the lectures of entire, people speaking up, what can MBA do and not do, and all that. And by the end of this week, so we had 3 days dedicated to just presenting. So you won't believe I had not done a single presentation in my life in graduation or in school. So they what else they do? They around 11 o'clock at night they told us that this next morning in 9 o'clock 9 a.m. you have to present this. So get your PPTs done and you have to present. Just read and they gave us a big case study. All right, I had no idea what am I supposed to do now, and my group was also completely. They had nobody had any done any presentations before, so we stayed up all night. All night. I remember by even 5 o'clock our presentation wasn't done. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna be dead by the end of the day. And I thought that if this is going to be for the next year, I'm done. But somehow it was a big, I'll tell you, it was a big time failure. 9 a.m. presentation. And you know what? I reached late because I had this habit of coming late. From Pressy, I had ingrained this habit. अरे class है late में चलते हैं कुछ नहीं होता. By 9:10 I reached. Our dean told us this is the first time and the last time I'm allowing you. So punctuality very important. Otherwise they wouldn't have even allowed us to do the presentation. So they forgave us and we just sat through the presentation. It was not a great one. One of my classmates fainted as well. So I learned a lot. And the next day, again, we had a presentation in the next day. So I understood my mistakes. We got a case study again. We just, and then we made a list. Teamwork is this is what we learned here. Very important. Communicate with others. So I had my friends helping me at 3 o'clock at night making the PPT because my group was not being able to do anything at all, including me. I had not faced a situation, and I love sleeping especially during the late hours. I cannot stay up late at all. So it was really difficult for me that how will I stay awake if I can't even make presentation. But then the next day, presentation was okay. We did a lot of improvements. Our faculties complimented us that you have done an improvement, right? And again, we had a third presentation in afternoon. So we have done the presentation by 12 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, we have another presentation and we had no idea. So they gave us the material, go and do it. That's it. 3 पे तुम्हें present करना है, मुझे नहीं पता कुछ भी. So we somehow did it. We made sense, and it was fine. I'll tell you, they make you do this so that you can learn how to deal with pressure. It was all fine, and I'll tell you, the next 2 years just floated by me. We had presentation. Of course, there are in the first year. I'll tell you, MBA every wherever you go, be it IIMs or any other college, it will be difficult because they are making you learn how to deal with pressure. It will be intense, and we thought I remember my first marketing presentation. We thought we'll faint because the teacher was so strict. We thought she'll just kill us. She'll kill us and bury us there and there. But again, somehow we survived and we did the presentation. She was like, it's fine. I'm not going to kill you guys. And then we started giving up presentations because you had a lot of them. And then it became easy because professors also know that you are coming from a different field. They want you to grow. That's the point. If you think that that person is going to, just there to get me, that mentality will not help. Your faculties, and very different from again graduation. These faculties have come from, corporate. They have worked in corporates for many years, 10 years, 20 years, males, female, both, and they know what it's like there out there. So you have to, just take the criticism if they're giving you, take it in a positive sense. I remember a very unfortunate incident, not very unfortunate, I would say, but unfortunate nonetheless. So we had a presentation in the second year, and there was this guy who had not submitted his presentation on time. He had to submit it physically and then present. So, and he was very indifferent. Okay, fine, nahi diya, what's the big deal? But the teacher, the faculty, he gave him such a bad look, and he said, just survive in corporate, then I'll see how you'll manage. Because these faculties, they have come from corporate, they know what it's like to be there. So they're trying to prepare you. So it's not very intense. You'll get used to it. You have to get used to it. Once you start liking it, it becomes very easy. And again, there are students, like you said, presentations are not a cup of tea. You don't have the habit of presenting. Public speaking is something we don't do at all, right? In I think graduation or in post graduation, we didn't do much of it. But it'll get easier. Even if it doesn't get easier, you have to do it anyway. So just try to enjoy the ride. And for me personally, public speaking was not my cup of tea. Still not a cup of tea, I'll say. I don't prefer doing it. But when I do it, I try to make the most of it. I get my knowledge done. I research the most. I'll be in the library and you get most knowledge, because when you're speaking, you have to have the knowledge of speaking up. Otherwise, you won't be able to. You just speak shit in front of the faculty because you get nervous. Everybody's watching you. Everybody you think is judging you. Faculty is judging you. Your marks are dependent on it. So you better know your stuff when you're speaking. So it becomes easier. I'll tell you. Even I didn't know how to do it, but then I learned. That's the thing. I spoke so much.
No, that's fine. So I think in this 2 years of MBA, you do get a lot of time to work on your communication skills and other skills. But
Right.
let's circle back. Let's circle back a bit. While you're getting like applying for the top MBA
Mm-hmm.
institutes, apart from your
Mm-hmm.
score and apart from your percentile in, let's say, CAT or any other entrance examinations,
Mm-hmm.
are there certain skills in your CV after graduation or after post graduation that these institutes are looking for in particular while taking in students? I mean,
Okay. For me, it was not of a bigger disadvantage because it was fine. I had done graduation and post graduation. They used to ask me, post graduation कर लिया आपको ये भी करना है. They used to ask me all this. I used to tell them, explain my story. But the thing is, I don't think I faced any disadvantage. If you want to really develop your skills, you can develop in Excel. And this is like preparing yourself for the upcoming, because you will be dealing with a lot of Excel. And and if you know, and if you're interested in learning a programming language, that will really help. Because we did R, I had no idea what R was. I just know that there's an alphabet called R. That's at the end of the day. But then we used to have trimester. Again, a very important thing. Presidency used to have semester system. So trimester is like 3 months. सब कुछ खत्म कर देना है. आपका classes भी हो जाएगा and you'll be done with your exams by the end of 3 months. So you have to get used to that as well. And so I had no idea about R, what R is. So I guess if somebody is wanting to enter this field, deal with these two subjects very well, because you will be learning a programming language for sure. Python is difficult because in second year, engineering student were the one who did Python, because I had no clue and I didn't even want to. So you're gonna learn a programming language. So if you want to do it beforehand, C++, SQL, anything, just learn a programming language or get into it, understand what it is. Because they're gonna make you, and they're gonna hurry to brush up finish the entire syllabus. And if you don't practice, it's just like maths. If you don't practice, you won't know. You won't know how to perform there. It's very simple. So programming language, any programming language, and Excel. These two are the major things. And again, start practicing maths. This is something, because you could deal with data. If not, if you don't want to practice like that, practice with calculators, faster calculations. Because what forecasting is, you have to just analyze the data and give a feedback, stuff like that. So you have to learn how to read the data, the graphs. I mean, that I remember my faculty told us that, what are these graphs for? They're not there to entertain you. You have to understand them and you have to give a solution to that. So two major things, yeah, Excel and programming language. Very important.
So you also work as an intern at Outlook Publishers
Yeah,
Private Limited. So
yeah.
can you tell us about your work there as an intern,
Mm.
what you were doing, how you came across that opportunity?
Okay, sure, sure. See, as a marketing student, you will have to give 3 months of your entire curriculum to an internship. That will be a compulsory thing. So again, I forgot to inform. Yes, 3 months you will be compulsorily giving internship somewhere. So what I did, my internship was at Outlook, New Delhi. The entire system was done through again like sort of an aptitude and then GD, but it was through the campus itself. They had invited these people, and I just gave an online interview and they selected me. I was informed that I have to go there for 3 months. It's compulsory. It depends marketing. Any other field which you want to do, you have to do it. And yes, when I went there in Delhi, I think it was in June, right, April to June, yeah, almost 3 months. So, and by the end of it, you have to give weekly reports as well. And by the end of it, your marks will be dependent on it. You'll be giving a presentation on your entire. We call it BI experience, business immersion experience. BI experience. You have to give a presentation on that. So you better get your work done. So yes, in internship, our main work was to do sales. Basically, when you might have heard about the Outlook magazine, right? But we usually read the content. We don't think how it's sold in the market. So our main job was to sell the magazine. My target was by the end of the three months was 1 lakh, that you have to generate the revenue for 1 lakh for the company, and it was an unpaid internship. I wasn't paid for it. So the main thing was you have to just go there. We reached, okay, first April we reached the offices. We also did not have any idea what are we supposed to do here. But we went there and they told us that kuch nahi, laptop kholo, we'll give you the data. And we had all the list of all the clients, potential clients or people who have not renewed their subscription again, and just call them and convince them to take the magazine. That's it. Very simply put, sell the magazine. So that's how we did. I remember calling all my friends and family that please take this magazine. My life is in danger, because I had no idea that it was not supposed to be this serious. They were, and targets are a real thing. If you are into marketing, if you enter into marketing, sales and marketing, targets, you will be expected to fill your targets. Laake dena hai revenue. I remember on the first day of internship, I did not know this. They told us, and there were also other students from other colleges who also had no idea. So one of the students came up to the person in charge and asked them that अगर नहीं हुआ तो क्या करेंगे? So a very hardcore person from sales, he said, मुझे सुनना ही नहीं है कि नहीं हुआ है. I don't even know कि मुझे नहीं हुआ है. मुझे बस करके दो. I don't know anything. So it is a bit of stressful thing if you don't know. It was stressful. 3 months were like the first time I was doing all this. It was a bit stressful. But then again, by the end of it, you just you grow into it. You have to. I also generated around 80,000 revenue for the company, as I remember. So for 3 months we did that. I was in Delhi. We were staying as friends. I had lots. There were 6 other people, including me, who were with me at Outlook. So they were a great support system for me. We were living together, 3 of us. It was a good experience because it taught me that this is what I want to do, and if I'm supposed to continue with marketing, this is what I'll have to do, and I am doing that right now. So business experience internship is just for you to get a brush up with corporate. This is how it's going to be.
So
Yes,
this internship was in your first year of MBA or the second year of
first
MBA?
year, first year, first year. By the
So,
end of it, yeah, tell me.
right. So it's offered in the first year only, right? It's
Yes,
compulsory in the first year.
it's compulsory for every MBA student. It's compulsory.
Right, and the selection occurs through like an aptitude medium. You are selected, you apply and you select.
Not necessarily. Any company can do it anyway. I mean, some companies, because you are in a very serious tone, you are an unpaid labor. Okay, you are free
Right.
laborer for them. So not necessarily that every company will do it, but they might do it, just दिखाने के लिए कि हाँ aptitude कर रहे हैं. It's all bit nonsensical. And if you have your personal references, many of my friends did that. If you have personal references, just take the help and do the internship for 3 months. Not necessarily it has to be aptitude plus GD plus PI. Not at all. It's just a show that the companies do at times to show how important they are. To be very honest.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one particularly important question, since you mentioned the internship. So, you had to travel uh, to Delhi to at their office. So, uh, about the expenses, are they paid or are they taken out of the fees that you pay, or do you have to pay it out of your own pocket? So, what is the structure?
See, mine was an unpaid internship. But if you can manage to get a paid one, then it's fine. They'll pay for you. So all the expenses were bore by me. The staying, the traveling, and then coming back because I was in Delhi. I could not travel much anywhere else. So the rent, everything was because it was an unpaid one, and I was aware of it. That it was unpaid. The experience it was what matters, right? By the end of it, the but if you can manage to get a paid one, many of my friends had a paid one as well. They'll pay you by the end of it. So it's fine. Depends on you really what you can manage to get.
Right. So, I think we are towards the end of our session. So,
Okay.
uh, particularly with a graduation and a postgraduate degree in history and then an MBA in marketing, what are the ways that you know of that a person can go in terms of career prospects after
Okay.
completing the MBA?
See, I think you're asking me that what else can we do? I mean, I am not sure. I'm not what did you ask me? Um,
No, yeah. So after finishing our study, so what are the areas that we can go to for like career prospects?
Okay, okay. In terms of MBA, right? So see, like I mentioned, I think at the very beginning of it, there are few fields in MBA. I'll just repeat them again. It's marketing, operations, HR, business analyst, finance. Okay, these are the major ones. Operations are the ones which engineers usually take, and because it's all about manufacturing and everything. HR is something, you can become an HR person. You will help in the recruitment of the companies. Every company needs somebody who will help in recruiting, right? So HR person takes care of that. Finance, there are lots of options. You can become a financial analyst. You can help in, finance modeling. But again, you have to be very good with numbers if you want to pursue that field, because that is what a professor told us. You should be comfortable with numbers. And then marketing, again, for me, right now I'm doing sales, and in future there are options of digital marketing. There are options of marketing manager. I mean, as you grow up higher in the growth career chart, you'll have lots of options in marketing. And then, like, you can go to digital marketing. You can also become a marketing analyst. And I'm not sure which one I think I did not mention. And yes, business analyst, again, some engineers prefer that because it's more like dealing with data. But again, in the end, it's like compiling. Business analyst as a job, you have to just do a lot of research and give them reports. So it's like that. And in after a while, I think you can also switch over, because I know people who have done marketing and then went to HR and recruitment. And many, I think many colleges, they offer you dual degrees of MBA. That is, you can do one major and one minor. Mine was entirely marketing, but you can also take two. I had many friends who had done, in marketing and HR. So they had the option of going either way. They want to do HR, it's fine, or do marketing, it's fine. It becomes a bit problematic later on, as I have understood, but again, it's up to you. Many people had taken, finance plus operations, or finance. The most popular one, I think, in our college was marketing plus BA, that is business analyst. So you can, in doing some time, spending time in marketing, you can also go to the research part. So these are the major ones. And yeah, I think this is what they're looking for. But I'll tell you very honestly, companies in the end, they look for students who are willing to work, who are willing to learn. Because as a fresher, they don't expect much of you. They expect that you learn and read about stuff and do your job honestly. So public speaking, just focus on those skills. Public speaking, Excel, and if you want to go into business analysis, do a coding language. These are the major skills you should be focusing on if you're thinking of doing an MBA, because that's what you're going to do in the later life of yours. Yeah, Shraddha.
Right. So I think we have got quite a lot of information from that question answer sessions. We don't have any questions in the comment boxes yet. So something I want to ask you personally from my end.
Sure.
I'm asking this not on a technical level, but because I think from someone who has, let's use the term, survived no 7 years of college. It's important to know, right? Also
Yeah.
because I have had experiences of families and friends coming up with this problem and telling me, particularly when you're attending the class and the course of MBA in these
Mhm.
2 years,
Right.
as and after that when you have moved into the profession as a woman who has had a background in humanities, have you ever felt any sort of discrimination from your colleagues or let's say classmates, and how did you deal with it? Because I think it's important and it's pertinent. It is there in academia as well, in humanities academia, but given the fact that the public views the corporate world as a particularly masculine world, and
Mm-hmm.
how did you deal with the whole thing?
Okay. So first of all, my experience has been very amazing till now, very good till now, because in MBA, not at all, not at all. I had never faced any. I'll be very honest with you. I think my experience of 2 years of MBA was far better what I dealt with in my presidency years. I just don't know why I feel this way, but maybe it was, it was becoming a bit monotonous in Presi for me. But MBA, it was so fast, it was so intense. I didn't even have time to realize or adjust to the entire thing that, okay, it's going so fast. You have so much to study, so much to deal with. So, not at all. I did not face any disadvantage because there's so many women there. So many women come here and trying to make a career. And again, in the professional sense, till now, not at all. Luckily, I'm in a very established, well established company, which I'll tell you what, there are far more females than males. So, and I'm doing a fields job. That is, I have to go to the people on field, be on field all day. Right now, obviously not. But when I started off, and we were working from office, so I used to go there and not at all. And I'll tell you what, this in this question was even I even asked them, when they were interviewing me, that as a woman, I had never faced any issue, and I don't want to even face this issue. I don't want to be at this disadvantage. And they told me that you will never face a disadvantage in this company, at least. I mean, being a woman is really insignificant. You have to do well, you have to learn, and it's not an issue. Academia, it might be, I know, I'm aware of it, but in professional sense, corporate till now, my experience has been very good. So yeah, not at all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that enlightening session as a whole.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you
I'm
for
so
joining us today and spending some time with us answering our questions. Thank you to
I
everyone who watched the interview as a whole. Uh, this is also our last video of the career counseling session that we have been doing from Reminiscences, the page. We have had quite a lot of enlightening session by people from different fields. Those who are viewing this live session can also go to our page and see those videos and gain information about quite a diverse set of careers, actually. Thank you once again, ma'am, for joining us today. It
thank
was
you.
nice talking to you.
I'm so thank you so much for letting me talk for almost 40 minutes now. You guys have been so patient with me and listening to all my blabber. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yes, not a
thank you.
problem.
I
Thank you.
really hope it was helpful. I really hope so.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was helpful.